Welcome back to Huddle Up. We're not going to dive right into this year's Super Bowl matchup because before that, we have to look into the past. And we've been treated over the last decade with so many great Super Bowls and Super Bowl moments. So let's rank them.
We both put together our lists. The bottom four were pretty easy. We have the bottom four Super Bowls the same on both of our lists, but maybe some in different orders. I think I have the Broncos-Panthers a little higher than you do because I'm a Broncos fan. So, that performance against MVP Cam Newton and Peyton Manning noodle arm getting the job done one last time before riding off into the sunset, that holds a special place in my heart. I also recognize that it was a pretty horrible Super Bowl for everyone not a Broncos fan, and even as a Broncos fan, excruciating to watch at some points.
When I was trying to put together my list, there's a couple different criterias that I like to base these on.
Let's hear it.
And I was trying to convince myself that, you know what? Sometimes you have to give love to defensive football.
Oh, for sure.
At the end of the day, it's a part of the game. But I still found myself ranking all the quote-unquote defensive Super Bowls, like the Patriots and Rams that finished 13-3, lower than your shootouts. But I think we all agree the worst thing to ever have in the Super Bowl is a blowout. And that is very telling with my number 10 spot, which was Broncos and Seahawks, the worst Super Bowl ever. And then number 9, not far off, Chiefs and Buccaneers. Mahomes and Brady, so much anticipation and a blowout. So I don't want to see that this year. I hope it's a close game. Last time we had the Chiefs and the 49ers, it was a close game, and it was a Mahomes comeback in dramatic fashion at the end. And that's around the 5 or 6 spot for both of us.
Yes, it is. And I will say, Broncos Seahawks, it was on 10 for me as well. One of the lowest points in my life because I invited everyone I know over. All my friends had a nice Super Bowl party. By halftime, no one wanted to watch the game anymore. And I was clinging on to hope that they could come back, and then Percy Harvin returns the second half kickoff for a touchdown, and I was like, what are we doing here? Shut off the TV, everyone out of the house. I need to just cry for a little bit. Devastating. The Chiefs 49ers one I think was awesome because the Chiefs come back, but then I think people forget, the 49ers were inches away from winning that game. Emmanuel Sanders, Jimmy Garoppolo just overthrows him by this much. He just misses him for the winning touchdown. Tough way to lose.
It was a good game, but let's look at the top of the list now because I think there were better. My number 1 is Eagles and Patriots. This game had everything. Not only was it very high scoring and had a lot of offense, records were broken in terms of total yards. The Philly special has to be up there as one of the best touchdowns ever in the Super Bowl. And then you also had the Zach Ertz dramatic one right at the goal line. Just so many good moments. And then you start to remember that, this was Tom Brady going up against a backup quarterback in Nick Foles that after he won this game didn't go on to do anything else in his career. So it's what a game.
MVP Carson Wentz gets hurt and Nick Foles goes on the most magical run of his life. And no player, I don't think, Joe Flacco, 2013, you might put there as well of magical runs, but he was the starter. He wasn't the backup that came in and just went nuclear for an entire playoff. And Nick Foles diced up not any defense, Bill Belichick's defense that is not used to getting diced up in the Super Bowl nonetheless. That was number 2 for me because I've got Patriots and Seahawks as number 1. It just had 2 of the most iconic plays ever. Obviously, the Jermaine Kearse play gets lost in history because of what happened after that. And it was Malcolm Butler's interception, which, funny enough, that was the guy that he caught that insane catch on to get them down there in the first place. The lead that the Seahawks had, the Patriots coming all the way back, Julian Edelman kind of cemented himself in this game. It's just a great Super Bowl.
So back and forth, and I think it might have been the most. That's why it was hard for me to not put it at number 1. But as someone who wasn't really rooting for Tom Brady all that much, kind of a heartbreaker of an ending for me. But a very, very good game nonetheless. And there's been a lot of them in recent years. Bengals and Rams, very, very good. Back and forth, great ending.
That one was amazing. I feel like that one's kind of underrated and slept on.
Even last year's was great. And I have Eagles and Chiefs last year at number 2. The reason why I didn't have it at 1, and I think you might have punished it even more for this, was the actual ending of the game. It was a great comeback, but for it to end on pretty much a flag and then a chip shot field goal, and we didn't get to see Jalen Hurts with much time on the clock be able to march his team back down, a little bit anticlimactic.
The one that's going to surprise people is 28-3, because I think we both have it outside of the top 3. Why outside of the top 3 for you?
The one reason I have that game a little lower than the others is I think the others above, it was constantly back and forth. You didn't know who was going to win at all, whereas Falcons and Patriots, the 28-3 was a seesaw. It was the Falcons are definitely winning this game. They're blowing them out. This game is ranking with the Broncos and the Seahawks in terms of this is a blowout. It's over at half. And then immediately the scales were tipped, and it's like, wow, the Patriots just scored all those unanswered points and won. So there wasn't like, lead changes. I love seeing lead changes in these big games, but I understand, of course, one of the best comebacks ever, the best comeback ever in NFL history. If you have that at number 1, fair play to you.
Yeah, I agree, but I also kind of side with you on that too, where it was like, it was a blowout. It was a disaster. It took a collapse for the Patriots to come back, and obviously some greatness from Tom Brady, and that Julian Edelman play will go down in Super Bowl and NFL history as one of the greatest of all time. But yeah, I just like the back and forth aspect of it too. You like to see when quarterbacks are just trading shot for shot with each other. I guess it's somewhat the same if you make an incredible comeback, but not quite. The momentum shifts that happen when it's just like touchdown here, touchdown there, touchdown here, field goal there. They're just matching back and forth. It's like, holy crap, who's going to make the first stop and win this game, because one stop is going to win it all.
There are our rankings of the last 10 Super Bowls, and all we can hope is that this year's goes straight to number 1 and that it's a great game.